What's up, everyone, and welcome to Parked Podcast presented by DGA. My name is Mitch Phillips, and joining me is Zach Harrison. And on today's episode, we're going to quickly recap the Jonesboro Open, get into some news from the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and joining the betting side of sports. And we have an amazing guest that's also going to be jumping on the show. Zach, how you doing, brother? It's been a minute.
Yeah, Mitch, doing well. Has been a while. Things have been busy. We get it.
Yeah,
life is gonna life, you know.
That's what they say. That's a true statement. I like that.
But dude, the weather is looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Golf has been great. I'm actually swinging clubs now. This is weird. Golf for me is more than just frisbees, so kind of fun getting into it. But it's been nice. Thanks.
Nice. And is there any chance you will be taking more clubs to golf courses that have disc golf courses on them and be that guy during the round?
You know, I'm definitely going to do it at Boomtown. I'm just going to be that guy during the backup. I'm going to be chipping shots and putting
at the people in front of you that are like taking too long. You're just like chipping clubs. Oh my God. That'd be great. Dude, I'm good too, man. The weather has been amazing. I was camping this whole past weekend up in North Georgia at Lula Disc House, had a tournament up there. Placed in the top 5, shot almost 1,000 rated for the tournament. So I'm feeling good, man. Learning the discs, settling into DGA. But we want to definitely let everyone know that if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Leave us a comment over there. Any questions, future guests, any of that kind of stuff. And then over on socials, definitely follow us at Parked Podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, leave us a review. It means a lot. We are quickly growing and the audience is growing too. So really excited and thankful for all y'all. But here at Parked Podcast, we have our segment where we talk about what's the last hole that you parked. But today is a special day because we have a guy joining us. We're upping the ante, because this guy doesn't just park holes. Sometimes he posts video that park holes, but we get upset at him. The community's upset because he aces every single day. He's probably aced 3 times already today. It's 2:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. But joining us is my good friend, and some people think he might be my dad or lost uncle. We have the same last name, Mitch Phillips. He's the co-founder, owner of Another Round. If you've been off the grid for the past couple of years, you have no idea what Another Round is. I don't know what you're doing. They're one of the biggest social media platforms for disc golf, growing the sport. They are a disc golf store and tap room with, I believe, 4 locations and counting. They've opened 2 just recently in the last couple of weeks, just growing incredibly. Joseph and his partner Kyle really have set the standard for what a local business can do to impact their local area, create a space for people to gather and find community and market themselves incredibly. So stoked to have him on the show. Joseph, get in here, brother. The Risby guy.
Yeah, just to go ahead and start this off weird, I didn't know that was going to be public for this, but here we are, and that's okay.
The Risby guy. That's what. So you're welcome.
I'm trying to stay relevant. Hey, thanks for all the nice things. That was sweet of you.
Did that actually make the air? I thought we weren't recording yet.
Oh, that's fine. If it doesn't,
we'll cut it in post, Gage. Let's get it out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're officially now up to 5 stores, which is
5
crazy.
stores. Come on. Yep. What cities are you in now?
Charlotte, Denver, Asheville, and then we just opened Salt Lake City and then Greenville in the same week, which was nuts.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. We'll get into that in a little bit soon, because I want to say that might make you guys the most locations of a disc golf store. Like, that is a franchise thing, I would assume.
I think 3 was, yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
So you've been holding on to that for a while.
Wow.
Yeah. So
come on.
I think there's a couple of places that have like little spots that have like different locations across town where it's like you might have something in a gas station, or there's like little different locations throughout a city that they've got places. But I don't think that there's anybody that has. Foundation has 1 other store in Charleston.
Right.
And I think outside of that, there's nobody that has them in multiple states.
So you guys are looking to just take over 7-Elevens and just start putting other rounds in gas stations, is what you're saying?
I mean, listen, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head anymore, because in Salt Lake City, there was an old 7-Eleven gas station that they split into 2 parcels, and that's where that's where they are. So, and it's a freaking awesome shop.
Yeah, it looks incredible. We'll get into that in a bit. I want to hear all about that experience of opening the 2 stores in the last couple of weeks and the history of Another Round. But we're going to kind of have you as a co-host here. We've known each other for a while, and we're just going to kind of go through some news here. But like we said, Parked Podcast, but we are Aced Podcast today. What's the last hole that you aced, Joseph? Do you even remember? Do you know your number more?
It's all blur together.
So yes, I do remember, because it was yesterday. I've been kind of on one this week. You'll understand this. There's times where you just like you feel like you can't even hold a disc right. You're like, this just is so foreign to me. It's so off. Okay, the opposite of that has happened to me in the last week and a half,
Okay.
where I almost never am like, man, I want to get out there and compete. But I've hit a gear this week where I've been like, put me in one of these tournaments right now. I'm freaking ripping the disc.
Let's go.
Everything's coming out clean. Granted, I'm playing park style courses where 400 feet. If you can throw 400 feet, it means that you're elite on that course. Versus these pro tour courses where 400 feet is how far you throw a mid. But yeah. So yesterday, Discraft sent me the new Page Pierce Drive and the Kratos, the new run of Kratos, and they said, "Can you be the first person that aces with both of these molds?" And then yesterday it was just like lightning struck and walked up. I was on a phone call with a well-known pro that remains nameless in this, and was on the phone call, put it on mute, put the thing in my pocket. First shot ace with the drive. Huge Spike Heiser forehand, like crazy looking shot.
I saw the video. It's wild.
And then walked over to hole 9, and within 3 shots, aced that with forehand with a Kratos. And I was like, I am unbelievable. And then, of course, I'll probably go out and try to film today, and it'll be like I've never thrown before. But such is life.
Amazing.
That is sick.
That was my last shot. Was yesterday acing hole 9, and I have not thrown one since then. So,
what course were you at?
It's a little pitch and putt called Rinsky. There's a course in Charlotte called Renaissance, and Renaissance Gold. The gold layout was like the quintessential, huge, well-known kind of, had its own lore. Then on the same property-ish, they put a little course called Rinsky, and it's like, everything's pretty much close to like sub 280, and then there's a few holes that are like 350 or 360. But
the one you aced was 630. That's crazy. Incredible.
Both. One was like 240 or 250, and then the other one was like 187. So
there you go. Beautiful.
When I sat next to Simon at Yuli's wedding, he and I were talking ace stuff, and like, obviously I just followed in his footsteps. So I asked him, like, what is the distance that is, like, you will actually attempt to go out and ace something? And if you're ace running it for a video, he was like, basically sub 300, like 280 and under. Yeah. Everything, once you get past that, it brings into play wind and little air bounces, and it becomes a lot less precise.
Yeah.
But sub, like 250-ish range, it can be like throwing, a rock in. Yeah. It just is, if you throw enough shots, something's going to get close.
For sure. So. Yeah, smart. Well, that's awesome. Acing 2 times in one day. I don't think I've ever done that.
Never.
Zach, what's the last hole that you aced, brother?
Last hole. So first of all, I'll caveat this. I don't ace. Like, it just doesn't really happen.
This is actually a fictitious story. You're about to
tell that's right. I'm making it up as I go. No, I've thrown like 3 aces in my life, and I've been playing Frisbee for 15 years. So it's a frustrating thing when I see people who's like, oh, I just started playing and I've only got 2 aces. And I'm like, shut the hell up, dude. What the heck? Get out of here. But it was at Little Mulberry out in
love that course.
Tequila, Georgia. It's an amazing course. The property itself is beautiful, and it's technically a park course, but you have pretty much the whole half of the park to yourself. It's amazing. And it was hole 18. It was in a straighter position, but it's like an uphill, like 250. And I threw an A3 on a forehand, and it actually skips and slices, does like the nice
it did an uphill skip
into that flared to the right, and then nothing but chains.
Boom.
It was a 6 shot.
I also want to just preface all of this. Well, not preface, since we're in the middle of it, but I'm doing a very different thing than just playing disc golf. So if I'm out filming content, what I'll do today is I get all the DGA Tour Series stuff in my bag today for filming content. I'll put 1 or 2 of every mold. There you go. I'll put 1 or 2 of every mold in there. And then when I go out and film, if there's a hole that's aceable, I will throw every single mold at that hole, because I'm trying to get reels for individual discs and for content. And so it's a heck of a lot different than just going out the way that I used to and, stroke play and throw a shot, walk up to it, throw another
Yeah.
shot. So yes, in one sense, I do have like 280 something aces, but in another
You also only
sense,
putt in your life like 16 times. So
yeah,
that's
it's a much different thing that I'm doing.
yeah, that's true. Well, speaking of much different things that I'm doing, I've been playing tournaments for over 10 years now, and I did something I've never done before. I aced in a tournament at Red Hawk Ridge, hole 3 with a glow quake, super overstable run, about 300 feet blind. It was the most anticlimactic ace of my life. Had no idea it went in, no idea. We heard chains, but it was like very little, like a little ching, like in the background. But there's when you're playing some courses, there's people putting
Oh
right
yeah.
behind you. And this tournament, though it was in 2024, more felt like it was in about 2015 because we had paper scorecards, we had no live scoring, we had a players meeting before every round to know
That's Keith, dude.
the slow motion board turnaround of what hole you want. 13th anniversary at Lula. But caveat here is I did not buy into the ace pot. And I know it was not great. Thumbs down. Yeah, let me know how stupid I am for that. But the good thing is, I got a really great passive aggressive email over after I did shoot the hot round of 1024 rated, so that felt great. But this is what the email said after it. What a great day today, guys, on the both two courses. Looking forward to a final day tomorrow. Congrats to Mitch Phillips for an ace on hole 3 of Red Hawk today, and Throw Pink thanks him for not being in the ace fund. So you're welcome, Throw Pink. Just happy to make a donation. And then the next morning, in front of 80, 90 people, once again, the tournament director said, we just want to thank Mitch for his donation to Throw Pink. And I got to stand up and say, you're welcome. Really, really glad. There was like a representative there. So got to shake a hand. It was great. Good moment for me. Negative 257 to me, positive 257 to a great fund. So
it's actually 256 that you're negative.
True, you did actually a little bit. You actually sent me $1.32 with the I don't know how that happened. Or maybe I had 32 cents in my Apple Pay already.
Okay.
So yeah, quick maths. You did send me that dollar.
That's $1 richer than you were, dude.
It's close.
You only had 32 cents, so I increased you 66% or whatever math that comes out to.
Yeah, thanks for using Apple Pay in a message because that feels so legit.
It really does.
It doesn't feel legit at all. It's like, let me text you this money. It was weird. I never had that happen actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing as I'm getting older that's like boomer stuff that I'm getting made fun of a lot from the people that work for us that are
but you're
younger.
Still the Frisbee guy. So I appreciate you for that. Oh goodness. I can't take you seriously looking at you in the face right now. Let's get into some news here. This is a segment we talk about some news going on in the Disc Golf Pro Tour and just disc golf as a whole. And also we talk about great beers. What are we sipping on? It's 2 p.m. here. We're not crazy, so we're not drinking, hard liquor, but I went non-alcoholic today. And want to shout out this beer. It's actually pretty cool. It's an entire company called Athletic Brewing Co. And everything they do is non-alcoholic. So pretty cool to see that. This is Free Wave. It's actually a hoppy, hazy IPA with a juicy body and velvety pour. Actually has true hops in there as well. Amarillo, Citra, and Mosaic hops. So really cool to see it stay non-alcoholic and enjoy a good beer in the afternoon. So that's what I'm sipping on today. Zach, what are you sipping on?
Nice. That's always a good move, man. Especially there are people out there that don't want booze.
True.
I, on the other hand, I like booze. So we're drinking what says probably the best beer in the world.
Love it.
It's Carlsberg,
Come
which
on.
you guys have probably seen on like soccer jerseys and stuff.
I had an
like
old
that.
Liverpool jersey that had a Carlsberg.
Exactly. Yeah. It is made by the Danes out in Denmark. Really good stuff. They actually were the original creators of filtered yeast, which is super neat. They like
the Danes or Carlsberg company themselves.
I think it's Carlsberg.
That's actually
cool. Filtered, or they purified the yeast, and it completely changed brewing.
Yeah, for sure.
So pretty neat. Cheers to Carlsberg, or as they would say, skull.
That's fantastic.
I wanted to let that sit for a moment. That was good.
I love it.
Yes.
I got Tito's and Gatorade. No, it's just Gatorade.
Tito's.
It's it's half Gatorade, half water.
It is Tuesday.
You will like this, Mitch, being from southern or central Georgia, which in the summertime gets a level of hot that's indescribable.
Oh yeah.
2-a-days football practice in Macon, Georgia. Yeah, I was pretty much crushing it. Working at Kroger. Yeah.
Yes.
It was wild. But the whole point of this was I would have the water girls for football do half water, half Gatorade, super watered down, super icy, and that's been my favorite like sports drink, whatever. And I'm gonna go film in the heat later, so that's why I'm pre-electrolyting.
Love it.
That's right, man.
I love
Prehydrate.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I enjoy that. Well, you mentioned it earlier. Going on in DGA World, the Tour Series discs are out, and so we are actually doing a giveaway over at DGA for all 8 of the Tour Series discs.
Oh, I saw that video this morning.
Yeah, it was very good. Well, in the nice chicken coop hole, had a nice running delivery from my buddy Josh. He ran a very long way. California.
That made me laugh really hard, by the way.
I'm glad.
Seeing him in the background just struggling for his life above his head running. Yeah.
I'm glad. The goal is to have him like kind of on my shoulder the whole time. So I think we nailed it. Shout out to him because I did not do that first take. So he ran sprints for quite some time. It was good. And then we tried to shoot some content
because I would have told you got one try.
The timing had to be like, let me get through my spiel, then do it. So
right.
Yes, but you can win an entire set of the Tour Series discs. Tag 2 friends and follow DGA on Instagram over there. Entries will close at noon Pacific on Friday, April 19th. And we'll be sending out a full set. These discs are gorgeous. Joseph said he's going to be doing some content later, so I'm sure you'll see some of those. The plastic is this like shimmery, grippy. It does get a little bit gummy in the heat, but man, this stamp is really cool. It's kind of like a vintage, like graffiti vibe and everything. So I think they look incredible. And definitely
Discraft makes all of DGA's plastic, so I think it's like a TI color shift, some blend of all of that. From what I've seen, I haven't touched them yet, just from seeing pictures and what you're showing me right now.
Right. The where's it at? Yeah, this Redolin pipeline like went double stamp on there with the silver and the blue too. Kind of Jumpman vibes, and apparently the pipeline is very overstable, which should be really fun.
That's what I was hoping for because there was last year's run, Mitch, when you made the switch over to DGA, I gave you last year's Tour Series.
Yep.
And that run has been money, but it's still pretty straight. Had a little touch of extra stability.
Yeah, it's still pretty flippy when you really get on it. I've broken them in now.
Yeah.
This run should be a great compliment to them. So
sweet.
Should be awesome. And also going on in DGA World, we have the new Proto putters, the Sonar and the Surf. Actually, just hard switched to the Surf for my tournament and averaged almost 1,000 rated. So they're good.
Is the Surf the beadless one?
Surf is beadless. Sonar is beaded. So throwing wise, they're actually both pretty stable. Sonar is overstable. It is like smack it flat, almost like a putter version of a breaker. Very overstable to throw. Really fun.
Tell me this, because I haven't held it yet, and our packages got split, so I'm not even going to be able to throw those today. It looks, based on the profile of it and some of the flight of it, and what the rim shape looks like,
Sonar?
It looks a heck of a lot like a PA3.
That kind of similar, beaded, kind of blocky side. It's not as blocky as a PA3. It's got a little bit more of a rounded edge to it, and I think it's more overstable out of the box than a PA3.
Okay, sweet.
But both have an amazing amount of glide.
Shape.
Yeah, I think for me, I was with the Steady BL, I was wanting a little bit more glide and a little bit more push, where the Steady BL would kind of hold and then it would fade real hard at the end, instead of being able to just continue to push as it fades, like that kind of more of like a hard left compared to like a slow push. And I was missing left with the Steady BL, and these are just power dead center for the Surf. So I'm loving them. They're a little lower profile and a little smaller in the hand as well.
Are you thinking somewhere in the like a little more shallow pure range stability wise?
Yep. I think it's a little more overstable than a pure, but definitely feels pretty similar in the hand. And man, I'm loving them. They feel great. And I have large hands, and I still enjoy the feel of them. So plastic is the D-line swirl, and it is gorgeous too.
Didn't Parker switch to those? Is he putting with those?
He did say he hard switched to them. He was going to let me know how they went. I sent him a message this morning to see how he felt about them. So he jumped into the top 30. So, I mean, obviously they were working. but yeah, so let's get into
Can
Jonesboro
I
now
ask
that
this
you
real
mentioned-
quick
Go ahead.
before we move on? I want to know, Joseph, do you have a preference, beaded or beadless?
He'll throw a judge for the rest of his life. That's his favorite putter.
No, so Mitch is correct. I do love the judge a lot. I've had somewhat of an existential crisis in the last week because I was doing random content. I just had a box of stuff in my trunk that I pulled from, and the Castaplast Rico is like a micro bead, even smaller bead than like a EMAC Judge,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, I just made a lot of putts with it, and
Yeah.
so ultimately, I don't have a set bag. So like
Okay.
as it stands today, there's no like bag that sits in my car in my office like this is my disc golf bag. I'm only filming content. I don't play on the weekends. I don't play after 5 o'clock. Disc golf is my job. It's a
Mhm.
huge privilege, but I don't do it recreationally unless I'm playing on a holiday with my dad and my brother or something.
Yeah.
But if I were to do that, I think I would prefer a beaded putter. There's something about, oh God, all I've got in my office here is a freaking Berg, but
Which
it's
you
That's
hate
so
that
ironic.
disc.
I know I'm so mad, and it's please have, and of course it's all Castaplast, so it's
Yes.
just Bergs.
It's
That's
just
hilarious,
only
dude.
Bergs. There's your clip. There's our social clip.
I'm gonna use a Pixel just on principle alone.
Oh my God.
There's something about the way that like where my finger lands and I'm spinning the disc, so
Mhm.
like that last little bit of connection with my pointer
Mhm.
finger is important.
Mhm.
But all that being said, I am probably the worst person on earth to talk about form because I don't think about what I'm
Mm-mm.
doing. When people ask me to explain stuff, I'm like, I freaking grip it and rip it, dude. I don't know.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's this next generation of players that are so much more intentional and also like observant of like how do you do it. I recently went back to college last year as a 30-year-old and was on the college like club team, and all these 18 to 21-year-olds are like, how do you grip your forehand, how do you grip your backhand? I'm like, I don't know, man. There wasn't YouTube, there wasn't like the first YouTube videos was like Germ throwing Discraft and like Shoestrick out in like a Nashville course saying like, this is how I throw a putter. And it was like the most basic thing. So there wasn't like, we don't think about those things compared to everyone's like, oh, what if I put my finger, what if I put my finger like here compared to here and I'm like,
Right.
I don't know, man. So it's a different like next generation of disc golfers that are much more intentional and observant to what they're doing with the disc.
Yeah. Ready to be told what to do, really.
Yeah.
Rick, I was doing ace runs with Ricky at a little short course in Charlotte, one of the oldest courses called Reedy Creek. He by the way, is probably worse than me with the sickness of I'm gonna throw just 100 more shots. Like I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
gonna stop until it goes in. But he told me something. He told me something. We were teeing off, and he goes, "Hey, when did you start doing that weird thing where you move your thumb right before you throw?" And I went, I have no clue what you're talking about. He was like, when you throw, your thumb, how do I do this? Okay.
Yeah.
Your thumb starts here, and then right before you throw, it comes all the way to the rim, and you're kind of loosening your grip. Is that an intentional thing to get a cleaner release? And I'm like,
Nope.
stop talking, because I don't want to think about this again. Like this is gonna bother me. And then I went and looked,
Yeah.
and when I was doing the editing stuff, and sure enough, that's exactly what I do.
Wild. That's
Yeah.
so weird. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I'd be interested to see like what are the weird things that like that'd be a cool video to talk about and find like some guys that have been playing for a long time, like Zach, someone who comes to mind, like a Nathan Goodwin or someone that's been playing around Atlanta for a long time. And like, what do you do that's different? You look at someone like Matty O, who putts so weird, but it's like, hey, this is what he's always done.
Yeah, he's
so
great at it.
exactly.
I noticed the other day, I know we're going to move on to other things,
You're fine.
but I noticed that for backhand, a lot of people like Michael Johansson, for instance, if he's throwing a crank or a nuke, anything, distance driver, any disc, any shot, it's always a modified fan grip for everything.
Drew Gibson does that too. Drew Gibson
Yes.
throws fan grip, which is
And
crazy.
I noticed that for me, I think the reason they do it is it comes out cleaner. It's more accurate or whatever.
More
I
control.
noticed that for me, unless I'm throwing maximum power, I'll start power grip, and as I'm about to throw, I'll either pull my pinky off and sometimes pull both fingers slightly off because it's less points of contact on the disc. And if I'm doing ace runs, it's like if you get within 10 feet, cool, that's never going on the internet. So it has to be close. It has to be chain
Mhm.
height and doing the thing. And I think that I've just sort of naturally developed that as like, I have to have this be super accurate, super clean, but I don't know why. And I don't know if it's hurting me distance wise or if it's the right thing to do, but I just picked up on that the other day.
Huh. So
Yeah,
weird.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's such interesting like thought because like you said, the disc golf you play is not usually what everyone else is playing. Like you're not going, I need consistency over a round. You're going, I need consistency to throw this shot the same way 8 times with 8 discs.
That's right.
Over and over again. So totally different viewpoint. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if that's something you do or if there's something weird that you didn't realize you did. You listened to this and then you overthought everything. Let us know in the comments what that weird thing is you do on the tee pad or with your grip.
Here's the beautiful thing about disc golf, though. Cole Rodolin, who might have the prettiest form in disc golf, like if you
Agreed.
told AI to do perfect disc golf form, it'd probably be
Agreed.
him. Him and Chandler Kramer finished the same at Worlds last year, 22nd,
Yeah.
and he could not be more different than Cole in the way that he plays, throws, looks, and that's one of the things that all of the people that are form hunting and like
Mhm.
they're constantly tweaking the way that their form looks. To me, sometimes it's much ado about nothing. You don't end up actually getting
Yeah.
better because I don't think that there's an ideal thing. There's
Mhm.
certain things where you're like, you need to change that. You're throwing nose up every time. But there
Right.
is a part of disc golf that's art and like it gets to be contextualized to your body, the way that you throw. And I love that about disc golf.
Yeah, well, you've
Mhm.
got to be an athlete, right? Like
Yeah.
you are the one who has to do it. So at the end of the day, like you're gonna do whatever feels good, whatever works for you.
Mhm.
That's why there's 1,000 ways to throw a frisbee,
Yeah.
right? That's why guys like Jake Wolf can go throw thumbers over the
Mhm.
top while there's no way you could do that.
Right.
Right,
You
We need
know?
to have
right,
Jake.
right,
We need to have
right.
Jake on the podcast and nerd out about that kind of stuff and see what his thought is. And then also, I mean, connecting Jake to back to baseball too. You look at how many different ways there is to throw a baseball. Look at the way pitchers throw. There are some weird dudes out there
Oh yeah.
that. But either way, that ball's crossing the plate, and they're hoping that someone doesn't hit it. Like so many different ways.
Yeah, but the cool thing about disc golf is that, like you said, athlete. If you're talking about football, if you're telling me that you want to be an elite middle linebacker and you're 5'6", you're not. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But like, if you saw James Conrad or go back to 10 years ago and saw Nate Doss walk into a room, and you'd be like, gun to your head, is that an athlete? You'd be like, no. No, it's not. Maybe a bowler, like, but no.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
they'll crush you on a disc golf course.
100%.
Easy.
100%. Gosh, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's funny. Well, let's circle back. Let's get into Jonesboro a bit before we dive deep into everything another round. Jonesboro was quite a tournament. Before we get into Jonesboro and what happened in the tournament, I wanted to talk about something that was hilarious. Joseph, you commented on it. I shared it as well. The video on Silas's Instagram of that they got Paul Macbeth to be like, I witnessed the holy shot. And I saw something today that was even more rare. And they hyped it up and cut it to Chandler Kramer throwing a backhand right into Conrad throwing a forehand. And it was hilarious. That might have been the best video of the year so far. Like
It's really good.
Like, how
It's
did
really
they get
good.
Macbeth to say yes to that? Like, I don't.
Yeah, not a sponsor, not a
No,
big like. You're
and it was a
getting paid for
collab
it.
post with him.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, it shows you where disc golf is at. You know,
Mhm.
if you told Michael Jordan or LeBron after a
Yeah.
finals loss, not Jordan because he never lost, and I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
But I love LeBron too. But yeah, he's not gonna make a
Okay.
funny video about losing something.
Especially the world championships.
Dude, I just was there in Ogden because it's an hour north of our Salt
Yeah,
Lake
you went and
store,
tried to throw it.
or 40 minutes. First of all, the hike to 16 up this mound, like from the top of the world thing, is, I mean, it's vertical and it is so high. It's like that you couldn't, unless you do it, you're like, you can't really understand the scale of how high it is
Yeah.
or what the hike is. And then that shot on 18, I just could not believe again, like,
Mhm.
how did that happen? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Let's get into Jonesboro. Actually, what happened here? FPO Tatar went on a freaking tear. She marks her 6th major elite victory by 8+ strokes, matching the rest of the field's total in 3 years. So uh, it's absurd. Like she's on another level of winning by large margins. There's been
Yeah.
other players that have done it. We had Owen earlier this year, take over and win by a good amount, but to do it 6 times in the last 3 years is crazy. Like the
When
level that
she's
she is playing is disgusting. And with her average rating for the tournament, she will cross over 1,000 rated this next update, which is historic in itself.
when
She's
she's on,
yeah.
it's like a steamroller.
Yeah.
Like no one is gonna jump in front of that and stop.
Mm-mm. No.
She's unbelievable. She carries herself like a professional athlete.
Yeah.
She's somebody in the same way that Paul did, especially when he moved over to Discraft,
Mhm.
where you elevate the whole sport and you feel like finally somebody's carrying themselves not like a van lifer and like
Yeah.
a person that does this as a hobby, but like
Mhm.
we actually have somebody that we can point to on social media and be
Right.
like, if one of our friends was asking about like this is what disc golf is
Yeah.
like at the pro level.
Mhm.
She's just dominant. She's
Right.
and some of that could be the like European, her mentality, all of the
Yep.
stuff. But it's her versus the field. If you were
Mhm.
and I know we're going to get to this later with the sports betting stuff, but like if you're betting, she's like every tournament you'd have to bet 500 to win 100.
Oh, yeah.
Like she's the prohibitive favorite at every event.
No doubt.
Without a
No
doubt.
doubt about it. I mean, she swept all the majors last year, which I don't believe that had been done since Paul did it. Was it 2016, 2015 when Paul did it? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
I remember having that destroyer that was like the Grand Slam destroyer that he had.
Right.
But following up the podium there for the FPO division, Holland Hanley is in P2 and Evelina Salonen in P3. So definitely, seeing them on the podium is great, but it was from so far back. I mean, she was over 9 strokes and 10 strokes over that position. So it wasn't like it was even close. And then there was another gap of like 5 to 6 strokes behind them. So the level of play and the differential, we've talked about this on the podcast before, like it's not even like it's the same division. Like when you have in the top 20, there's a 20 plus, 30 plus strokes going on. It's crazy. It's like you're playing FPO and FA1. And it's I don't mean that in a harsh way, but it's just like statistically, the ratings, like everything that's happening there, the level of what the top, 2% of the FPO field are doing is unmatched, and it feels almost unreachable, and on any given course.
Yeah, there's with a stump speech that I give to people, some of our pros all the time is like, if you want to be top 3, top 5 in the world, MPO, I mean, you're going to have a lot of good stuff go your way. You're going to have to work harder than
Mhm.
anybody has. You're going to have to stay really healthy. Your aptitude is just going to hopefully be really high. Probably not going to get into that, but if you want to get into the top 25 MPO, it's anybody's game. Like
Right.
anybody on any given week can get into really the top 10. FPO wise, it's like if you want to be Kristen Tatar, you need to be like 13 right now and like unbelievable. Like
Mhm.
what's the girl that got picked up by DGA this year?
Ellie Ezra.
Ezra, which we'll jump to that while you brought her name up. She finished tied for 5th, shooting 1,009 rated, jumping 14 spots final round. Her best finish in a Pro Tour event.
She's got the aptitude for it. She's
Mhm.
got the ability. Her arm speed and stuff
Yep.
is like in its own class.
Mhm.
But golf is just between the ears.
100%.
And so it's like that part of it is just the absolute grind and monotony of being willing to throw the boring like placement shot to try to get to your other right position to play for
Mhm.
par on a hole that you need to. And that can be mind numbing. One of the reasons people ask me why I never really got into tournaments. And it's like, one of the reasons is it just takes way too dang long. Like waiting
Yeah.
for noodles to like
Yeah.
get their chalk bag 50 times and set up a 40-second putt from 10 feet. You're like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die if you
Dude.
keep doing this.
Yeah.
Gosh, especially when you're playing in the amateur divisions too. Like,
Mhm.
what?
Unreal. What are we doing here, guys?
So
Yeah.
glad to be out.
So glad that you're taking this time and playing for pieces of plastic, more plastic.
More
than you already
plastic.
I just want to shout out my sponsors, Opelika, Jiffy Lube. I would never be where I am without you. I missed 81 inside the circle putts. If I can clean that up, I think I can get to 800. I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't. I can't.
Sorry for all you guys from Opelika out there.
Also, Opelika listeners, if you can get a Jiffy Lube sponsor, we will have you on the podcast as a host permanently.
I'll give you $50 to the shop, 100%.
Yeah, I'll
That's
buy you
amazing.
50 discs to the shop if you can get Jiffy Lube sponsor. Oh my God, it's incredible.
That's so funny, man.
That's incredible.
On
Zach-
on that FPO side, though, it's really nice to see some consistency out of some players that were kind of touch and go last year. I think Luke Lawrenson being able to keep up herself in like the top 10, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right.
Look
New
at who
sponsors.
she's working with, though. I mean, she's working with Bradley, who's one of the best form coaches in of the game and getting, like you said, between the ears. You watch her YouTube stuff, and Bradley's caddying for her a lot and like helping her play golf, and it's different.
Yeah,
I know. Who was it? Parker? It wasn't Parker. Maybe it was Parker. Who was it? It was Cole Redolin. Cole made a post earlier, and he said that he put it in his brain that he was going to play safe, consistent golf this weekend.
Yep.
And he said,
I think it was Parker.
Was it Parker?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going back and forth.
He's on the team. I read the whole post.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, because I was looking at it, and he did play safer golf. And he was like, I honestly liked it.
Yeah. He averaged 10.26, made a push on the last day, shooting a 10.36 rated round to jump 16 spots in the top 30.
Right. And when you look at that, like jumping 16 spots is going to give you an extra, like $1,000+ if you're moving in the right direction.
Right.
Depending on where you're starting, I suppose.
Right.
Where did he finish?
He finished tied for 27th.
27th. So he was out of CAF.
Right. Alongside Gavin Rathbun, who jumped 41 spots in one day, shooting 8 down.
Gavin lost his sponsorship and was like, watch this. He's been playing great this year.
Dude, why has no one picked him up?
I don't know.
The off season, this is a 45-minute conversation on its own, but off season was really rough because there's a lot of companies that were overpaying pros.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that Gavin was overpaid because I don't think that he was.
Sure.
But I think that there's a lot of companies that are looking at what pro sponsorships, what the actual ROI is on that.
You and I've talked about that offline a lot, and it's an interesting space.
And it's why content creators are getting sometimes better deals than pros that are almost elite level pros.
Yep.
Not top 5 or top 10 pros, but like those mid-level guys that are like still freaking good. Is that it doesn't, if the ROI is not there, if you can't put their name on a disc and it sells, not just sells well, but sells more than what that disc would have already sold, then it's a tough sell to be like, yeah, we're going to send you $6,000 a month to just exist. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And moving into MPO for Jonesboro, I think that hits the nail on the head. There was five or six players within 2 strokes of the lead with 9 holes to go. Some of those being huge names, some of those being names that we have like a general idea of. Ben Callaway was in the mix again this year after finishing second last year. You have your Calvin Heimberg, Barella, Isaac Robinson on lead card, just couldn't get it together. But this finish and the way that this tournament set up for the course rework was genius. A lot of practice rounds and stuff. A lot of players were like, it's weird, I miss hole 1. But the way that this course finished out, whoever was going to eagle, was it 12 or 13? I forget what hole that is. It's the eagleable one, the par 5.
14.
14. I think it was Sexton, Zach, you were saying that finished. Whoever eagled that hole will win this tournament.
Yeah.
And you look at what happened. But it literally came down to hole 18. And it was, if you can hit this island at 495 or something, if you hit that island, you win the tournament. And I love the design. And from a spectator perspective, it was incredible. It was the most fun I've had watching, like, to finish a tournament in a very long time.
Yeah.
Yes, it was tied at the top. It's been that way for the last couple tournaments, and we're up for an amazing season. But for this tournament specifically, it had the vibe of Waco when it was you're going to finish, and if you don't cross and get this in bounds and hit this putt, you lose.
Yeah,
And like
right.
you can't do that on every property. Like our sport
No.
doesn't allow to build amazing hole 18s every time.
It's
like
why
other ones do.
it's why I wish that Winthrop finished on hole 17.
Right.
Because hole 18 is such a dinker, weird drive that's just kind of a pitch shot. Hope that it
Although
doesn't roll
we
down
did
the
birdie
hill.
it, you and me, we did birdie that thing. Freaking
Did we really?
We tap in. You threw that wild honey in the middle, and
Oh,
we
that's
freaking
right. That's right.
insane.
That's right.
Best drive I've ever seen you throw.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just, but it's such a hole that's kind of nothing compared to this unbelievably iconic hole in
Right.
17, and it already feels like everything comes down to hole 17 anyway. So just finish it there because perfect spectator spot. It's like I cannot tell you how electric, even more electric, it would be if it finished on that.
It'd be crazy. It would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the score separation, right? Like at the end of the day, you want there to be an opportunity to separate scores by like more than 2 strokes.
Right.
Because there are certain holes where you throw out of bounds, you go to the drop zone, you pitch up, and you make a bogey where the guy who parks it is only 2 strokes ahead of you. Other opportunities like hole 17 at Winthrop, where now you have to make the island. Right, you don't get to go to a drop zone.
Yeah, that whole I feel like the hole's fived. It's fived more than it's fored.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, because your second shot, it's like Johnny McRae should have thrown a little pitch down once he threw out of bounds. He had a 5-stroke lead or 4-stroke lead or something crazy. Should have just tossed down to the little landing zone, taking his medicine, and thrown the easier shot. But you just go because Zach, have you ever played hole 17?
Yes.
It's like, as long as there's not crazy wind, it's such a routine shot. If you've got any forehand, it's just such an easy pitch. But when the pressure's on and when, maybe there's a little wind, it's so nervy.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, you even see people sky it into the ceiling, the trees that are up
for sure
above that hole right there, just because they hooks onto the finger and off it goes.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, having this change, I think added that tension.
Yep.
Right. Where if it wasn't such a big score separation on the last few holes, like, do we keep watching?
Yep.
Maybe, but maybe I'm not as tuned in. But I mean, obviously, with how many guys were right there at the top, Ben Callaway had it.
Yeah,
he kind of had it in the bag.
Dude,
in my opinion.
His shot on the par 4 that slid OB on the backside was just so tough. That was an insanely good shot to battle the win that he did. But yeah, it was a crazy finish. I want to shout out a couple people before we get into some more interview stuff here with Joseph. Ezra Aderhold has his second podium finish in a row. Definitely heating up. After not a great start, he really is starting to take off in the standings. I mean, tied for 70th, tied for 18th, tied for 44th, and then in third, second. Like he really is figuring something out. So a guy that's got all the stuff. And you look at some of the guys that were on that lead card or in the mix there. Those are all guys that take health and fitness and wellness seriously. With Ezra, Ben, I mean, those guys that are up there, like
Albert.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that were in the mix at a course like this, certain courses is different than others, but that was really cool to see those guys up at the top. And then we already mentioned it here, having some of these DGA players pop in there. Radalin, like you said, jumping in a tie for 20th. Parker made a huge push to T27, averaging higher, playing more boring. You look at someone like Simon, who was like, I'm just going to stop throwing the Simon line, and boom, wins 3 events last year. It's like, it's a weird space to be. So checking in with the point standings here. AB starting to take off a little bit. Got a 50-point lead. No, 50-point lead's a lot over Gannon Burr. And then a huge jump between those two, 130, 110 points, 120 points between Gannon and Kyle. But still, Discmania holding on to 3 out of the top 5 spots. So they're doing something right.
AB is the new Macbeth. And Gannon is the new Ricky. It's my working
100%.
So accurate.
My working theory.
Yep. Here's a stat to prove your theory here. Anthony Barella wins there, and he becomes the first player since 2019 to win 3 out of the 5 first tour stops. And Macbeth was the last one to do it.
I want to be careful. Macbeth could just come back from the dead at any point and just remind everybody
he could still win worlds.
nobody gets to clip this and say that like I said Macbeth is washed, because that's not at all
Nope.
what I've said. But I do think that Barella has the most potential to take that, because he's got all the tools, and he's been essentially tutored by Macbeth with the way he plays. He obviously just throws a heck of a lot harder. He's just he's like probably 6'3" or 4 or something. He's huge frame.
He's taller than that. I've interviewed him.
Is he
Stood next
really?
to him. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's
Okay.
tall.
Yeah. So but I think it was always between the ears with him. It was never about ability, and he's got that like, I've done it now. I know how to do it, and that's all it takes.
Yeah. And Zach, you and I talked about this offline. He didn't play his best golf. This was AB at like C level golf. Like, it was not A+ level golf from him at all.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you look at him compared to a couple other guys that, like, especially round 2, like he shot 7 down, which is great. Like that's a pretty hot round. Isaac shot 11, Ezra shot 10, Gannon shot 10, even guys like Big Germ shooting 9 down, Simon shooting 9 down. Like he really wasn't able to climb as far as some of those other guys, but it really just boiled down to those last 6 holes where wow. He took 6 down over the last 6 holes, including the eagle and the par on hole 18, which could have been a birdie if he went for it. So it's like, I don't know. He's got the clutch factor now.
Yeah.
It seemed like last year it was the choke. And this year,
European Open.
Yes, exactly.
Was horrifying. You just feel like he had it in the bag and it was going to be a major, and you're like, oh no, it's happening.
It was so hard to watch. Oh, it was so hard.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And let's continue on here in the news. As you know, betting odds. AB went from last year, I would say, to one of the worst people to bet on, because down the stretch you never know, to now being, put the house on AB and Tatar. Like, that's where we're headed, and going with this partnership with the Disc Golf Pro Tour and US Integrity. Disc Golf Pro Tour to join the sports betting world. Zach, talk to us a little about this quickly.
Yeah, so I've got mixed emotions.
I think we all do.
I don't obviously we have no idea where this is going to take disc golf. If it's going to affect the players, if it's going to affect the way that the fans enjoy the game. Because I'll be honest, like, I don't bet on my favorite teams. Like, I do not bet on the Braves. I do not do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. But yeah, there's never a chance that I'm going to start doing that. And so for me, like, I don't want to go bet on my favorite pros, because then I'm going to be pissed off if they don't perform well, rather than being like, oh man, I love you, but you know, you're not winning me money. So, like, I don't want it to become that.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I don't do sports betting because, I can't allow myself to care more about sports than I already do.
Yeah.
I'm the guy at like 11:45 after I've cleaned the kitchen that I'm like standing 1 inch from the TV watching NBA League Pass games, like watching the Kings battle somebody, and I'm like, let's go. And not because I care who wins at all. I'm just into it. But
I get that.
But I do think that, like, it is obviously, look how many FanDuel ads there are. Like that, it is the way that people are engaging with sports right now, and it is I think there is a like exponential, like 10x growth curve that disc golf could have, if the pro scene especially could have, if they allowed this. We're still really bush league. Here's my problem, or my caution about it, and the reason I think it may not happen is because as it stands right now, you just said it earlier. Like if Parker plays conservatively, he could make $1,000 more. Well, it's still so minuscule how much money these people are making.
Yeah,
and so even if you've got something like this integrity thing or whatever, I got to sneeze. Gage, this will be your first edit, or not. Just leave it in.
That was clean sneeze.
So even if the sports integrity thing is there, like if I'm Zach Melton, for instance, just to use a name that he would never do this, but if Zach Melton is going to be battling it out to make the cut right now, and then there's odds on him. He's maybe going to make $311 from a tournament. Like, just get a buddy to bet on yourself, and like you could make
Dang, yeah.
triple what you were going to make off the tournament off of sports betting. And so these people are living in vans, and like the elite people in our sport, elite people are showering in Planet Fitness and living in vans and parking lots. Like, gas money matters, and they're not getting a ton from their sponsors in a lot of cases. And so I'm not sure that we're ready, but if they're putting the infrastructure in place for a time in which we are ready, then I'm okay with it. But I think we're still really early.
See, and that's kind of where I feel, because there's so much variability, and we really don't know what is going to happen as it starts to unfold. What I do
Right.
like about it is that they're starting with US integrity, being that the fact that we are going to keep it regulated.
Yeah.
We are going to watch out for fraud. We're going to watch out for anything that would format as like an illegal betting ring.
It's not just some random company coming in and going, "Hey, we made an app, throw some money on it."
Put
Like,
some
where I
money
feel
down.
like disc golf is a sport, you can do that. In smaller sports, you can do this and just go, "Hey, I made
Right.
this thing, and now I'm one of the top guys in the sport." And you're like, "But what's your resume here?" Like, "Hey, I made this product," where it's like, "Hey, I just made an app, throw some money on it." I think that we're going the right direction. I think you did for sure. But I agree with you, Joseph. I think it definitely can make something weird, especially when the money is not that big and you can make more money by clicking 3 things on your phone than if you actually laid up that shot and be able to do that in real time. Will there be stuff where players cannot, make an account or have like bet on themselves? I don't know if you can regulate that legally. I don't know the
I
betting
think that's
side
what
of that.
US integrity is for,
Right. So
right?
I don't
Like
know.
they're supposed to be monitoring that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because
So
I mean, that's where you see pros getting in trouble with crap like that all the time, right? Shohei Ohtani
yeah.
recently
Right.
got caught up in a little gambling thing.
A little.
I mean, it
bet
was like several million dollars.
Several. It was like his translator bet $280 million
I thought it was
over
only
the
like
course of a
10.
couple of years. He lost $40 million, and that's what he was underwater, and he had a running line of credit from some gambling places where he was able to bet stuff that he didn't have, and he got 40 million bucks in debt, and that's when they came knocking for it. So yeah, that kind of stuff is rampant, and if you've got prop bets and you've got little things like uh first person to ace or what, like there are things that could happen where it would be easily swayable. And I'm not trying to say this to kind of wet blanket this thing that they're working on, because I really do think that sports betting on this would take it to a different level. It's still, even as good as it is, I've been in the sport for 15 years or whatever. I remember Terry Miller used to walk around with a cell phone and be like, "All right, hold on guys, I'm going to the next hole." And he would put his phone into his pocket, and you would just walk in Terry Miller's pocket until he got to the next hole. So like I've experienced that before. So what we have now is like, an order of magnitude or 4 orders of magnitude better than that. However, and shout out to Terry for doing it, because nobody else was
Absolutely.
doing it. Whatever.
No.
No shame on him. But it's still pretty bush league. It's still, it's not where it needs to be in order for, like, for instance, a guy came into the shop a couple of years ago and he saw USDGC on the TV and he was like, "How much these guys win? Like 250,000?" I was like,
30.
no, I think first place at that point was like
9K.
18 grand or 15 grand or something.
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, God, I made 21,000 for getting 7th place in a bass fishing tournament." It's like, yeah, we're way behind that. So
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting place with the sports betting thing. There's some good takes. Definitely. Let us know in the comments over on socials what your takes are on. I'm sure it's just going to keep getting more and more stories behind it and some more opinions, I'm sure. And we'll see where it goes. I don't know the timeline on it. I just know this is the announcement that things are beginning over on. If you want to learn more about that, head over to Disc Golf Pro Tour website. There is some more information over there in the whole announcement. You can read for information there. But let's get into, I know we're running towards the end of your time here, but I want to talk a little bit about another round and just kind of the heart behind what you guys are doing. And it's so unique and it's different, and there's intentionality behind everything that you do. And that stems from the people, that stems from the heart, from what you guys have done from the beginning. So if you can take us back to how Another Round became a thing for people that don't know, because I think so many people, similar to disc golf, don't even know the history of Terry Miller's back pocket, so to speak. Like, they see Another Round as this huge, marketing, big acing everything, huge multi stores. But take us back to the beginning and kind of give us this is, zoom back out to you and Kyle in college going, what if we did this thing?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that you introduced me as founder of the thing, and it's actually not the case. Kyle and I, Another Round existed before Kyle and I bought it. So in 2018, I used to work from Another Round up at the bar, and I would just hang out there. It was cheaper than buying coffee every day, and so I would just work from there, hang out. And I found out that they were looking to sell. Things were not going super well. And at the same time, Kyle had just moved to Charlotte, was working a corporate job that he absolutely hated. He was he was like not selling. He was like facilitating the sale of commercial soaps. And so like
that's a sexy job.
Yeah,
like the almond scented soap that always comes out of the canister.
I think it was like for like sports stadiums and colleges and stuff like that. So he was like a project manager. And anyway, it was a good gig money wise, but it was soulless and he hated it. And I was like, this Frisbee store is not doing great, but Charlotte deserves to it's going to go under. Charlotte deserves to have a place like this that exists. And we're at an age at that point, that was 6 years ago, where it's only going to get harder and harder for us to take a big swing at something like this. I think we could probably make something like this happen. And we had a big vision, big plan for it or whatever. Anyway, the sale goes through. We finally take over May 1st of 2019. And the goal for the first year or two was like, just fill the shelves up, make the space great for Charlotte, have it just be a local Frisbee store that services the Charlotte community, and that was kind of it. Well, then the pandemic hit in March. We obviously didn't know that it was going to be amazing for disc golf. We were just freaking out, thinking we were going to lose, every nickel that we've ever made or ever thought of.
Because you'd only owned the company for what, 7 months, 8 months at that point before COVID?
Yes.
Wow.
And so we, it ended up being that in the first wave of closures of everything, that that because we were a bar, we were able to stay open because we could sell our carry-out beer. And so it was like a certain number of people that could be in the store, but we got to be open for the beer stuff. And hey, also look at all these Frisbees that are around here. You could also have some of these. Then at some point they shut down beer, but because we were retail, we got to stay open for retail. So it ended up being like a perfect thing. But we thought the store was going to be closed for, however many months.
Of course.
And so we've got to go online, and we've got to start doing national stuff way earlier than what we had thought about. And so we start putting our heads together. We're like, the way that's going to work is we're going to have a website, and in order to have a website, we're going to have to promote it. The way that we're going to promote it's on socials. And at that point, Instagram had a thing where you had to have 10,000 followers to share links in your stories.
Yep.
So you could swipe up. So I was like, well, we've got, I don't know, 1,100 followers or something. Like, I'm just going to start doing content and see what happens. And, that sort of genesis of it got distilled down into like what gets clicks, what keeps people's attention, what's interesting. That's where all the acing stuff started to happen. That's where we started to sort of establish ourselves as a national brand. Within that, Jason and Tracy moved from Charlotte to Denver, said there's no reason that this place that's meant so much to us shouldn't exist elsewhere. Have you guys considered franchising? We said we have, but it wasn't on our radar that early on. And they were the guinea pigs that started this whole franchising thing. And, there were two models that we could have gone with. We could have gone the warehouse model and built a huge warehouse and tried to sell things at manufacturer minimums and just pushed volume like crazy. Everything that we did at that point would just be kind of focused on national and trying to move stuff online. But the thing that we really believed in was that this little Frisbee store that's on the other side of my office wall was like this real thing that made sense and mattered to us, and this community
Yeah.
that we were building, and that, not to use like a super cheesy churchy kind of thing, but like this place of belonging for people where
Mhm.
disc golf is full of misfits and weirdos like us that
Mhm.
may not fit in other spaces, but disc golf has given them this outlet. And so,
Yeah.
you know, it's not the same as walking into a big box store or a used sporting goods kind of a place where it's just sort of a transaction. We wanted these places to be third places where people
Yep.
could gather. And that's the whole thing with having beer, is that we wanted this to be a place where people could come and hang out. And so what we ended up basically landing on was that we want national growth through regional growth and through local spots.
Yeah.
And so franchising became this absolute, like, real central thing to what we were doing. Because, and we obviously have a website. I've continued pushing the marketing stuff, and a lot of that has sort of helped aid in the growth of the local stuff, because
Mhm.
people, the brand has some recognition, has people know who we are and what we do. And so, yeah, we started pushing that, and then that we opened Denver in 2021. We opened Asheville in 23 last year, and then we opened Salt Lake and Greenville in the last 2 weeks or whatever. And then it if everything goes according to plan, we'll probably open an additional 5 stores in the next 8 to 12 months. So things are starting to like do
That's
this.
sick.
Wow.
We've been really, really intentional early on. You can tell, like, it was 19 to 21 before we opened the first one, another 2 years until 23. And then now it's starting to pick up because, we get a million franchise requests all over the place, but we wanted to like really believe in these people that we were working with, have actual relationships with them, know that they carried the heart of our brand and what we were
Mhm.
trying to accomplish. And now that we've got some better systems in place, that process is a little bit faster. And I think, the goal is that we're just, well, without even putting a number on it, we've got a lot of these stores around the country and around the world that are catering to this demographic, this subgroup. Kyle, it's one of the reasons why I've been the one that's been throwing frisbees in all these videos, is because I I use this stuff. I know there are other like large brands in disc golf where the owners haven't played disc golf in 15 years.
Mhm.
And I wanted to stay as close to the ground of this stuff, because this is the reason I bought another round, is because I love disc golf and I wanted to be able to have that be a part of what I was doing. And so, the goal is to have a lot of these places that have meant a lot to people all over the country. And yeah, we're seeing it happen. It's pretty cool.
It's absolutely amazing. I'd like to add something because I think the model itself is genius, right? Like disc golf is a community sport. I
Yep.
don't care how you found it, you are connected to a community because you throw frisbees, right? Like
Million percent.
it's a constant. Beer is the same way.
Mhm.
Beer is a community. Breweries have become the local watering hole, and like your favorite spot to go drink a beer is
Right.
at your local brewery, right? So
Mhm.
the first time I walked in to another round store was the Charlotte store, and I walk in and I'm like, what are all these dudes just doing there sitting at the bar? I had no idea that it was a tap room.
That's awesome.
And I'm over there, I'm like, they're drinking beer?
Was this the
And
time
like
when you were working in the industry as well? Like when you
I
were in beer
was, I
industry
was
still?
working
Yeah.
in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's beer here? Like,
Hold
what?
on.
These are my humans.
Yeah.
And so not only was I super excited and like we sat down and we had a beer, but I had several beers and I walked around the store probably 7 times. And after my third beer, I was like, yep, I'm buying it. It's coming home because my
I
inhibition is just
deserve this.
it's
Yeah.
completely lowered, right? So yeah, I walked away with my third captain's raptor. Yeah, it's a beautiful frisbee.
You get
Um,
it.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
Just is there a
Got
limit?
him.
Do you guys have a beer limit?
Yeah, the goal is like I've had, we've had to shut people off before, but
Yeah.
the goal of it's like it's similar to like a bike shop or something that serves
Yeah.
beer. It's
Mhm.
like the goal is to have a couple
Yeah.
and be able to go about the rest of your day. That's why we close at 7 o'clock. We're
Mhm.
not like we're not the neighborhood dive that you can, post up in and Uber home from. This
Right.
Yeah.
is
Right.
this is definitely just a place to have a drink, spend an hour, and
Mhm.
then safely drive home. So I think, yeah, it's. I don't think there's. I think there's some people that don't understand that another round is a play on drinking as well. It's like
Yes.
another round of disc golf, another round of drinks. I've
Yes.
Mhm.
done that before to people that are like really close to the brand, and they're like, "What? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
that's the
you have bottle openers. I have one on my back that says drink another round,
that,
play another round.
yeah."
Like
We
it
need to
literally you need to
re-emphasize that.
Yeah, I'll wear a hat that says that. Heck yeah. I think you summed up most of our questions here, just kind of describing it. The heart and like the culture that you've developed and the community aspect. What have been some of the questions that people have asked you and been like? I think if you were to talk to anyone in any industry nowadays, they're going to tell you that brick and mortar is not the way to do it. You
Right.
have so many other things that are pointing towards not that, towards rent going up, towards people going to stores less. What has been the conversation and the heart behind that, more than obviously, hey, we just want people to be here, we believe in the community, but like, is there something more that you guys are able to continue doing, and what do you feel like you're doing differently that is keeping people and letting these stores continue to grow in different markets too, because you're taking something that can connect, but each store is different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was the initial, like, there are two paths, like for national stuff.
Hmm.
And one of them was just cut costs like crazy, cut
Yeah.
overhead, go, build up in one location and try to sell as many frisbees as you can out of it online all over the world. But for us, ultimately for me, it's an existential thing. It's like if I look back on this period of my life, what do I want to say that I built? And building like if I was going to do that model of like the warehouse model, it would like you can make money a lot faster in a lot of different industries. I'll start my Amazon drop shipping empire, or make the next silly bands or whatever. It's just a shipping and distribution thing at that point.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of like direct interaction with who your customers are.
Hmm.
And so for us, and for me specifically in this conversation, I was like, I, I want to look back and say that I helped build like and strengthen the disc golf community
Hmm.
and be, our thing that we tell franchisees is that we want our stores to be like the hub and the center of disc golf culture in their spot.
Yeah.
And that we want to be places not just of extraction, but that we are giving to the communities that we're in. And that it's not just like, look at all these idiots that want frisbees. We happen to have them. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's way more about like the stuff that we talk about and that keeps us up is like how can we get people to walk into these places and feel like they're known and loved and seen and all of that, and also run a good business
Hmm.
as we're doing it. And so the third place thing is big for us. You've got
Yeah.
your work and you've got your home. Where's your third place where you can go? Because disc golfers, like you were saying, Zach, it's it is intensely community focused, and it's like the it's one of the reasons. It's one of my pet peeves with disc golf is that it's so much of it is focused on pro tour, when what the heart and soul of disc golf is buddies that are on a group chat that go play their local course 3 times a week if
Yeah.
possible. And the direction that we're facing and focusing on as a brand, even though we've got sponsored players on the pro tour and we love those guys and girls and we want them to do well, but the focus of the brand is not about highlighting pros.
Hmm.
It's about catering to friend groups that love disc golf or people that are looking to find friend groups. So my favorite thing that happens in our stores every day across the country is that people go sit at the bar by themselves. Maybe they're new to town or they don't have any disc golf friends, and then within 45 minutes
Yeah.
somebody else is there doing the same thing and they go, you want to go play Kilborn right now? And they're like, freaking yeah. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you've got friends. And so, you know, I had a guy in Denver come up to me, pulled me out of the shop and was like, I just want you to know that I lived here for a really long time and I was freaking lonely and didn't have anybody in my life outside just people that I interacted with at work. And now I've got like 10 or 12 people that are the closest people to me in my life. And I met every single one of them from just showing up in this store and hanging out. And it's like, that's, you know, I can sleep easy for a week because it means that we're putting something into the world that's good. And that's the goal. And then there's obviously, it's running a business, and we're in the middle of a micro crisis right now, and there's always one to fire to put out or whatever, but that's the stuff that keeps you doing this. So
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I don't even have any other things to add to that. Like it's different. I think that's the big thing. Is it's different and it's counterintuitive to what a lot of people would say. Is working, like you said, let me start Amazon dropship. It's like no. That's not the focus here. We happen to
yeah,
be selling discs and happen to be selling beer, but the focus is people. And I love that. And it's evident in everything you guys do. Being on the team for content stuff as well, like interacting with these pros and stuff, even the pros that you have, like their heart position and where they're at is like, we just want to connect with people.
yeah,
And I think our sport misses that. And we look what we talked about earlier in the episode. We're talking about sports betting and growing and thousands of dollars and stuff. And it's like, whoa. Like we're still a sport that is built on small communities, built on people that small places like, hey, let me just go to your local watering hole and do that. Not every go back to the brewery industry, what Zach was saying. Not every place is going to be, there's a reason why you don't go to the Bud Light brewery, like the bar. It's not, you know what I mean? Like Bud Light doesn't have come to the Bud Light brewery and it's the only thing we serve in each place. No, you have places like I work of Contrast. You have places, certain breweries that are like, we are in this community for a reason. And yes, that is to sell beer, but it's because we're a part of this community too. So I think that's super cool, man. I think it's absolutely incredible. So last thing I'll ask you, the social media takeover, the blow up of everything y'all been doing with, how many videos have you had hit millions of views and weird aces and stuff?
dude, it's been crazy
It's
recently
insane. It's
where
crazy.
like a couple a week will blow up like that. And it's like, back in the day, I would just beg God to bless us with like 11 views on something. So it's, yeah, nuts.
And you've been growing the YouTube side of stuff too. What's it been like to go from YouTube longer form content to now to doing that when everything you've done before this has been shorter form content? What's that switch been like? And what is the future? Because I think what a lot of people think of another round, I bet there's people out there that don't even know that you're a store. I bet people are like, oh, they're just a social account. Like, how's that transition been to go from, let me just get clips that are 28 seconds? I've sat with you at lunch and watched you edit a video in less than 8 seconds with your eyes closed while you're drinking a sweet tea, because it's just, you can do it quick.
Second
How's that
nature.
transition been to long form and to kind of change the expectation? And what do you want to do other than just get clips?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I was the only one filming stuff because Kyle didn't want to do it. He doesn't want to, it's not the thing that he enjoys doing. I could go out there and do it. And, I already liked throwing second and third shots anyway and trying to dial something in. And so I think initially it was, we need to grow Instagram. And so every bit of the focus was, we need to get 10,000 followers and we need to do what it takes. And there was a direct ROI for, if we posted a link, more sales happened if I was throwing something versus, hey, this just came out, and then put a link on a story.
Yep.
And so you are right. I think there are some people not only that didn't know that it was a disc golf brand or that had retail stores. I think there's a lot of people that just think I personally have an account called Another Round Disc Golf, and that, especially a couple of years ago, or a year or two ago. And so, we did a really good job at growing our audience and by catering to exactly what short form, bite-sized, micro content kind of stuff was. We grew a big page that way. We grew a big audience that way. But I number one, don't want to keep being the like Frisbee circus clown guy that is the constant, because there's, as you can tell, there's so much going on with what we're doing that requires my attention. That's, it's just we're in a lot different place than we were 2 years ago. So there's that element of it where I just need to, and I've never wanted to be the face of the thing. It just sort of defaulted into that. But so there's a little bit of that where I want to decenter myself off of being the constant face of it. But then there's this also bigger part of it that's like we want to produce longer form stuff that's more meaningful, that tells our story in more significant ways, that's different from just that bite-sized kind of clip with music sort of thing. So we're still not there yet. We're still, we're small but mighty. It's not operation of 50 people that's running this thing. So we've got to be smart and strategic in the way that we grow. But ultimately, we want to have somebody on staff full time that does editing, that shoots stuff for us, that can kind of pull off some of the production things that we've wanted to do that we just haven't had either money, time, or margin to be able to pull off. There's not a lot of good new media kind of stuff in disc golf, other than the Parked podcast, which is just in its own league. I'm trying to give you a clip. No,
got it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good new media stuff that's telling the stories of disc golf that are not centered on the Pro Tour.
Yep.
There's so many great stories of courses that are being built and places that are all over this country that are popping up that just are not in the disc golf zeitgeist that need to be. And stories of people that are differently abled that are playing this sport, and such a wide swath of people from young to old, and just every kind of the human spectrum is playing disc golf. And so I think what we want to do is try to tell good stories, for the sake of telling good stories, and not even necessarily for self-promotion kind of stuff. And so, there are comps, where I don't want us to be disc golf barstool. I don't want to be the hot take thing. I don't want to be focused on Pro Tour. I want to do a much kind of more elevated, nuanced kind of thing than that. But that takes, it doesn't just happen overnight. So I can have the vision for it, but there's a lot of steps before you get to that.
Yeah.
Well, you are a great disc golf clown. I'll tell you that right
There's
now.
your clip.
Thank you.
You're my favorite disc golf clown.
Put a red nose on me. I appreciate that. And the days like yesterday, I go, that's
all right. I get
unbelievable.
it.
That's unbelievable. That just happened. But yeah, I'm that's why we're, with Mitch and the others that are on the team that are doing content stuff, and the pros that are sending content and stuff. I want to sort of diversify what you're seeing on our socials, and put some more thought into YouTube and some of the bigger projects that I want to see get pulled off, and documentaries and things like that.
Yeah. Man, well, we just want to say thank you for your time. You've given us so much of it, some great takes from everything, and just you've become such a person that people do look at, whether it's, hey, he's the guy that throws a lot of aces, or, moments like this where people do get to hear your heart. And if they step in a shop, if you've never been to another round shop, if you're near one of those, a lot of these shops are in communities that are close to a lot of courses. So go to this shop with the intention to maybe get an Airbnb in Charlotte, play the ton of courses, connect with those local communities, catch the fire that is what is happening with another round. And because it's tangible, going to these shops and supporting your local store, whether it's another round or whether it's another store, supporting your community is definitely the message that I want people to hear. And I think that's exactly what you guys are doing consistently and doing so well. And because you're doing these little things differently, lives are being changed. Like you said, the guy in Denver, I mean, there's probably so many stories just like that I didn't know anybody. I moved to the city. I like disc golf. I went to the store, and now I have best friends that are in my wedding. Like that is like you said, I can sleep well for a couple nights on that. But like, that's something that, I mean, I know in your heart as a pastor, and your heart as, connecting with people, you and I have a similar position in that, where it's like, the goal is people, and take disc golf out of it, take whatever, like, no matter, like you said, there's stories that are happening more and more. So I'm so thankful. And on behalf of us here, like, thank you for taking the time and doing what you're doing, because it's changing the sport, but also it's keeping the sport exactly how we like it, and making sure we don't forget and grow past the green and small thing that we are, of just throwing frisbees in the woods.
Brother, that means a bunch, and I appreciate it very much. I'm stoked that there are people like you guys that are doing new things and that are having conversations that are worth having. And you know, I think that the sport's going to look a lot different in 5 or 6 years than it
Yep.
does right now. And I think that people, hopefully like us, I'll include myself in that, are the people that are there and are kind of quote unquote thought leaders, and people that are kind of pushing the industry forward are
Yeah.
still the ones that are standing at the end of it. So yeah, cheers to you guys, and thanks
Yeah, man.
for everybody that listens, and see you later. I don't know. Who cares? See you guys later. I hate you guys. You suck.
Close the laptop. He's out. Love you, dude. Thank you,
All right,
brother.
buddy. See
Thank
y'all.
you, Joseph.
See you, buddy.
Peace.
Peace. Man, what an honor to have that dude and take the time that he did. Yeah, is not an easy man to get on a podcast. I'll tell you that. So I'm thankful for the way that he and I had connected over the years, and the fact that literally he and I met. We should have talked about this, but he and I met because we both had USDGC media passes, but we got demoted to tier 2, whatever that meant. So shout out to Innova for demoting us. It created a great friendship. Of he and I ended up meeting on social media, random things, but then at United States Championships, the first time we were there with second time, we're like in places we weren't supposed to be, like not supposed to follow league card. And he's a tall mammal, but like hiding and like trying to get photos of places. And so we literally became friends because we were just screwing around. And so, yeah, thank you, Joseph, for taking the time. One of the best humans in our sport. And it was an honor to be able to chat with him and get some great takes on Pro Tour stuff, on business. I mean, I could talk to him forever.
Yeah, I mean, he has so much insight, and to get to know him as a human it's amazing, right? Like you get a sense of his personality just watching the videos,
Yeah.
and the things that he posts online, but to know him as a human is a completely different thing, and it parallels so well with another round the shop, because it's that personal connection that they want, and that's what he's really great at. So yeah, awesome to have him on. Thanks again, Joseph. This was a great one.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for it. And the fact that we're sitting here right now having these kind of conversations are because of people like him that are pushing it and going like, hey, this is possible to have conversations and do that. So looking forward to everything that's to come for another round. I'm thankful to be a part of it, and really looking forward to it. But looking to the future of the Pro Tour, circling back as we wrap this episode up, we got Music City Open next week in Nashville. Really fun one. I never really know what to expect from this tournament. I want to shout out our buddy Jacob Chesser, who's I believe #1 on the wait list. Or did he get in?
Is he still on? I don't know, man. I gotta go check.
Yeah, go on his Instagram and see. But so stoked to see where he's going to go with this, and hopefully he does get in, local Atlanta guy. But this is such an interesting tournament. I feel like the courses are like, I don't even know what courses they are. They've changed it so many times. There's some hate on some of these courses, some excitement of some of these. I don't really know. It's been an interesting time, but April 19th through 21st, we'll have coverage and everything happening. There's some clinics and some practice pass stuff going on as well. And I mean, last year we had Simon Lazat take this one down, get the guitar. So it's pretty awesome. And then we had Chris Tatar obviously take it down before. So this is also one, back in 2020, Alden Harris won. So Atlanta homie, making it happen. So excited for this one. Definitely follow along. Should be a good run of tournaments coming up here. And after this, I mean, we got what's next. We got DDO shortly after, and we're in a time where tournaments are back to back to back. A lot of travel, and really getting the season started. Bold predictions going into Music City Open. It's hard not to predict that Barella is going to take it down. I mean, he's on a heater. I'm not sure how he played here last year, but I don't really care how he played anywhere last year because he's a whole nother person.
Yeah. Dude, I'll be honest. I was thinking about this earlier. I want to see Vinny come back with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder this week.
Yeah.
That's my prediction, is that Calvin comes back and closes it out. I'm going to pick Kristen again. Like, there's no reason not to. It's the safe pick. I'd put money on her. And Chesser is still #1 on the wait list. So
dang,
fingers crossed our guy can get in by the end of the week.
Somebody drop. Let him in.
Yeah, we just need to go. Who was it? Tanya Harding? Is that who that was? Who took the pole to the kneecap for the ice skating event? We just need another one.
We need another one.
Let's go, guys. Get our boy Jacob in the running.
Get him in there. Let him happen. But man, what an awesome episode. I'm thankful to be a part of it all. Definitely head over. The giveaway is live to get able to win an entire set of Tour Series discs, and head over to discgolf.com to pick up your own or your local retailer. Also, the Surf and the Sonar. These prototype putters are freaking good, y'all. They're gorgeous. They're sweet. Zach and I will have some more content coming with all those discs over at Parked Podcast on Instagram and growing some stuff there. So thanks everybody for hanging. Zach, you got any last things for us, brother?
No, excited for spring disc golf, man.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Well, I'll say it for you, dude. Thanks for listening to Parked Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace, love, and disc golf, baby.
See you, everybody.
See you guys.